welcome back to the channel. On March 14th of this year, my buddy Drew and I participated in a challenge to hike 20 miles and also climb 20 pitches in the McDowells in a single day. I'm going to talk a little bit about our strategy, the route we took, and just generally show off some of the highlights. As usual, any feedback you have, whether it's good or critical, is super helpful as I try to improve these videos. This challenge has a number of rules, but basically, you have to tag at least one pitch of climbing on Sven Tower 3, Gardener's Wall, and Tom's Thumb. Other than that, it's climb 20 pitches, hike 20 miles. From the parking lot, we're gonna hike to Morell's Boulder, stash a gallon of water each, hit up Girly Man for 4 climbs, hike up to Upper Morell's parking lot, hit 3 climbs, head over to Gardener's Wall, link both pitches of Renaissance, head up to Tom's Thumb, hit the settlement, hike all the way back down, refill waters, head over to Sven Tower 1 to do Stow'd Away, Cary'd Away, head over to Sven Tower 2, link all 3 pitches with an 80-meter rope, head over to Sven Tower 3, hit right rib, then hike back to Morell's Boulder and do Rightie and Leftie. Finally, head back to the truck, drop all the climbing gear, and head off into the McDowell Regional Park to get the rest of our hiking miles. The gates opened at 6:25, so we got in there right away and got started. This is Brian, the guy who came up with the idea for the challenge and made most of the rules. The most important part of the challenge is to forget your electrolytes and waste a minute going back, and then immediately forget the water you were going to stash, so you have to go back to your car again. So we set off to the Girly Man Wall to get 4 quick single pitches in. First up, we have Pastie Whitie.
Right here. First bolt is way the up there.
First bolt is around 15 feet off the ground, and it's right at the crux of the climb. Starts pretty low angle where you can kind of just walk up it, but it quickly gets a bit steeper. You have to start being more thoughtful with your foot placements. And then the crux is right here on this kind of side pull. You just have to trust that little foot chip to get the bolt. A quick note about grading. While many of the climbs I'm going to be showing today are in the 5.6 to 5.8 range, almost all of the climbs have at least one or more moves that feel closer to 5.9 or, in some cases, 5.10A. Next up, we have Doggone It. This one is noticeably more difficult than Pastie Whitie. It gets steeper faster, the holds are smaller, and it's definitely more sustained. You should be able to fit a 0.4 or a 0.5 here, but the smallest cam I brought up was a 0.75, so I just had to run it out. It does get easier here, so it wasn't a big deal.
On belay.
Next up is a route called Unknown 5.7, which on Mountain Project is rated 5.8. The crux is right here after the second bolt. It just gets a little bit steeper and all the feet disappear, so it's pretty much just friction climbing. Taking the liberty of teleporting myself up to that same spot. You actually do get a little crimp with your left hand that takes just enough force off your feet where you can stick it. Fourth climb is a 5.8 called Smoother. Forgot to record day of. Here's a clip of the crux from a practice day. The only issue with this one is getting to the second bolt is pretty dicey. If you mess up the clip, it's definitely a ground fall.
Drew, on belay. We're at 40 minutes and we're on the 4th climb.
After knocking out the 4 single pitch climbs on Girly Man, we scramble up the side up to Upper Morell's parking lot to knock out 3 more single pitch climbs. First up is a 5.7 slab called 7 Up. There's not a whole lot to show on this climb, it's pretty short, but just showing the stick clip because falling off the start of this one would definitely be an ankle breaker. And then this area is the top of Upper Morell's parking lot and will be the belaying and rappel spot for the next 2 climbs. Here you can actually see the thumb, which is where we're going to be heading next.
Nope.
This next climb is stacked, 5-7 plus, just to the left of 7 up. This is one of the climbs that I think has a 10A move on it. It's a super fun climb though, and I would highly recommend it. After stepping up into this undercling, you have to find 2 very sharp crimps, then get a really awkward right or left foot up onto a sloping hold and pull really hard to get up on this face. Once you're up on top of these 2 boulders, you just have a little bit of delicate face climbing until you're topped out.
All right, lots of slack.
Last but definitely not least on Upper Morels parking lot is back to the wall. This climb is super unique. It's got 3 or 4 bolts, but quite a few trad placements. This step up into the undercling feels super heroic. Lock in a solid hand jam while you get a 0.5 in to protect your move to the bolt.
Oh, we got a spinner up here.
Then work your way up the chimney with your back to the wall, and we'll be off to Gardener's and Tom's Thumb. Alright, we're headed off to Gardener's Wall. As per challenge rules, Gardener's Wall is one of the required areas to climb, followed by Tom's Thumb. For scale reference, here's some climbers on Gardener's Wall. Pretty sure the climber on the left actually is Brian. There's 2 pretty common ways to get to the top of Gardener's Wall. First way, by far the most popular, would be a 2-pitch 5-6 trad route called Hanging Gardens. The issue I have with this route is that it's full trad, so you have to bring up more gear, and also placements take longer, and it's zigzaggy, so it is physically longer as well. So we opted to do a climb called Renaissance. This is a 2-pitch 5-8. The first pitch is harder trad than Hanging Gardens, but it's shorter, and the second pitch is pretty run out sport slab. I practiced leading Renaissance in 1 pitch, so day of I was ready to go. The climbing starts up this pretty awkward right-facing corner. The crack peters out a bit, but you get better nubs on the right face for your feet, and then you can reach up to a pretty good hand jam under the roof. It's pretty easy to get your feet tangled up in this part, so make sure you keep your foot on the right side of that rope. If this is your first time running this route, I definitely recommend dropping a 4 in where my right hand just was under the roof. I just chose to run it out because I'd climbed this several times and I was saving my number 4 for higher up. My left hand is actually on a super positive ridge behind there. It doesn't look like a good hold, but it's super good. And then you can get a really good constricting right hand jam there. And you're pretty much locked in at that point. And that's pitch 1. Now that my blood was pumping, it was time to jump right into pitch 2. Basically, no rests for your calves almost this entire route. It's around 120 feet of sport slab. The bolts are 15 feet apart. That's not an exaggeration. They're extremely spaced out, so you have to keep focused at all times. All the moves that you make need to be extremely deliberate, or you're gonna go for a 30 to 40 foot ride. Finally, at the first bolt here, after the anchor, here's a great example of the run out. This is the second bolt, and here we are looking down at the first bolt.
So f***ing long.
If you don't save a number 4 for this crack, you're looking at a 40-foot run out from the last bolt to the anchors. The climbing is fairly easy here, but I really don't see a reason not to bring a 4.
My freaking glutes.
Here we are at the settlement, which counts as climb 10 and 11. All climbs to the summit of the thumb count as 2 pitches. This is one of my favorite routes in the McDowell's period. It's got a little spicy start. You don't get any protection until the first bolt. I have a whole video that goes into detail about this entire climb, but I'll just go through the highlights here for you. Has this amazing undercling traverse on some thin feet to this cool overhanging roof where you have to stem up, little drop knee up to a hand crack. Really, really fun to climb. All wrapped up at Tom's Thumb, we're headed back down to hit Sven Tower 1 with Stow'd Away and Cary'd Away. These 2 routes actually crisscross each other. There's not a whole lot to say about them specifically. All I know is that my feet were hurting real bad at this point. Drew and I actually split all the leads evenly, so I led 10 and he led 10. At this point, I had led 9 out of our 11 completed climbs, so this was actually my last lead of the day, so I was super excited about that as well. Some pretty cool trad pro right here.
Off belay.
Alright, Drew had put up Cary'd Away, so I just had to follow up it. So at this point, Drew had linked all 3 pitches of Sven Tower 2. I would say probably 85% of it is just a hike, so I'm gonna just show the beginning. This part was actually pretty engaging. Some fun, thin face climbing here. And then once you get over to the arete, it's like super chill for most of it. And then there's one little bit of climbing here at the end, so I'm gonna skip ahead. It's mostly just walking up this arete. Here's the last little bit of climbing. This is the start of pitch 3, and then just to scramble up to the summit. Here we are at right rib to get climbs 17 and 18. This is also an extremely easy climb, so I decided to leave my approach shoes on.
So nice to not have to do this in climbing shoes.
My right big toe was super sore, so I was really happy to not put my climbing shoes on.
Yeah. Oh.
I was kind of doing the math at this point and seeing that we didn't have a ton of extra time. I had kind of planned out for each pitch to take about 20 minutes for both of us, and that would leave us with about 20 minutes per mile to finish all the hiking miles. And doing the math, I saw that we had about 4 hours remaining to do 15 miles, so that was close to an average of 4 miles per hour we would have to do for the hiking. And I had been planning for a 3-mile-an-hour pace, so we were going to have to actually kick it down pretty good to finish the miles. We ended up doing like a little jogging here and there, but mostly just, speed walking. But we did end up getting it done with 10 minutes remaining. So 11 hours and 50 minutes, 20 pitches, 20 miles, 10 minutes before the gates closed. So it's quite an experience. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Next one's going to be probably a Cochise multi-pitch video. Subscribe, drop a like if you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Thank you.